Welcome to another little episode of Bitch We Got the Tea podcast. So, on the history and education side of the game, we were talking about coups and coups, and it was. I took it as an opportunity. I said, you know what, let's get something down real quick because a lot of people that are here in America don't even know. The younger people for y'all, millennials, January 6th is the closest y'all have seen to a coup or probably even know about of a coup, attempted takeover of a government. But back in 1933, some rich folks tried to take over the United States government. So we'll jump into this Rolling Stone article, possibly Washington Post, you know, shoot, NPR.org. It's heavily documented. So that's all I'm really kind of just trying to illustrate right there. But let's see what they talk about in the Rolling Stone article. So they call this the plot against American democracy that isn't taught in schools, written by Jonathan M. Katz from Rolling Stone magazine. So yada yada. It's talking about the story. The star of this story is General Smedley Butler. General Smedley Butler was like, I guess, some kind of big ass, war hero type of dude. You know what I'm saying? And after the war, he came back to the crib and he was, ready to, ride off into the sunset, retire or whatever. The Illuminati, the wealthy, the super wealthy and powerful, influential people in America at that time approached this guy and asked if he would help them take over the government. So this is just me telling you what I know. So now to get into what the article is saying. So Smedley Butler knew a coup when he smelled one. He had been involved in many himself. Just like I was telling you, with American interests doing the same shit in all these other countries. So leading up to this time that they approached General Smedley, the United States was involved with doing the same shit to all them countries from, I ain't gonna say Mexico, but from Mexico geographically on down. A lot of them different little small ass Central American and even some of them South American countries, they were already starting to put the beginnings of manipulating them governments and all that shit down there too. But anyway, it says he had overthrown governments and protected friendly client ones around the world on behalf of some of the same U.S. bankers, lawyers, and businessmen. Apparently now looking for his help. So he ain't overthrow countries on behalf of the United States government, on behalf of U.S. bankers, lawyers, and businessmen. That's a difference. That tells me word for word that it is individuals that is pulling the string. It tells me that there is an Illuminati situation that even though people might be like, oh, well, that's just some shit they say. No. Eisenhower made a reference. So now I got a sidestep because the sidesteps are important. They add context. Let's see. Eisenhower mention of secret cabal. So then, let's see. Basically, there's a couple, I guess, of quotes from him in reference to it. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought by the military industrial complex. So this is like a 1950s name for the Illuminati at that time. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. And then is another famous quote, but it might be. Let me put in JFK. JFK secret cloud. Let's see. Da 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 da. Damn it. All right, that's not it. But basically, the JFK quote was even harder because he said, there's a group of individuals out here controlling not only the United States, but that was controlling the globe. Wait a minute. So, boom, let me pull this shit up. Let me
Mhm.
just control F on y'all ass to. These whole niggas ain't. Alright, so, anyway, he said I'm paraphrasing. There was a group of individuals out there that are so powerful that they control governments, they control economies, blah blah blah, yada yada yada, and you dare not even whisper their name too loudly, basically. You know what I'm saying? Like he was dry snitching, you know what I'm saying, without coming out and saying too much. And then of course his ass got clapped. You know what I mean? Rest in peace to him. But he got clapped for even hinting at their existence. So anyway, that's to give just some context on who these bankers, lawyers, businessmen, might include. So for 33 years, Butler had been a United States Marine, blah, blah, blah. He knew what most Americans did not, that in all those years, he and his Marines had destroyed democracies, helped put into power the Hitlers and the Mussolinis of Latin America, dictators like the Dominican Republic's Rafael Trujillo. Trujillo, I can't even pronounce that. Y'all got, this shit got me fucked up. But this dude, and Nicaragua's soon-to-be leader Anastasio Somoza. That was an easier one. Men who would employ violent repression and their U.S. created militaries to protect American investments and their own power. So he had done so on behalf of moneyed interests like Citibank, J.P. Morgan, and the Wall Street financier Grayson M.P. Murphy. So it's going on further. Now, a bond salesman who worked for Murphy was pitching Butler on a domestic operation that set off the old veterans' alarm bells. The bond salesman would,
Mm.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So they these niggas did it slick. They low key sent some like lower level nigga to just holler at him to try to float the idea out there just to see if he bite on it before they even reveal
Right.
themselves, the niggas behind the curtain. So it says the bond salesman was Gerald C. McGuire, a 37-year-old Navy veteran with a head Butler thought looked like a cannonball. Going back to that baby. All right, anyway. McGuire had
I'm
McGuire
not fucking with you.
so so McGuire had been pursuing Butler relentlessly throughout 1933 and 1934, starting with visits to his farmhouse in Philadelphia.
Mm.
Yep. And then in Newark, where he was attending the reunion of the National Guard Division, McGuire showed up at his hotel room and tossed a wad of cash on the bed. 18,000, he said. In early 1934, Butler received a series of postcards from McGuire sent from hotspots of fascist Europe, including Hitler's Berlin. In August of 1934, McGuire called Butler from Philadelphia and asked to meet. Butler suggested an abandoned cafe at the back of the lobby of the Bellevue Stratford Hotel. In August of 1934, McGuire Yeah, all right, cool. So first, Maguire recounted all he had seen in Europe. He learned that Mussolini and Hitler were able to stay in power because they kept soldiers on their payrolls in various ways. But that setup would not suit us at all, the businessman opined. So that's even kind of like all soldiers is on some kind of payroll, but I guess there's a deeper meaning there. So anyway,
Right.
in France, Maguire had found just exactly the organization we're gonna have, called the Croix de Feu, Croix de Feu,
Mm.
Fiery Cross.
Yeah, I'm about to say. I think you need to say it with an accent.
Exactly. It was like more. It was like a
Croix
more
de Feu. Croix
exactly,
de Feu.
and that's why I'm glad you're here. So it was more like a militant version of the American Legion, an association of French World War veterans and paramilitaries. So February 6, 1934, 6 weeks before Maguire arrived, the Fiery Cross or the Croix de Feu
Croix de Feu.
had taken a part in a riot of mainly far right and fascist groups that had tried to storm the French legislature. The insurrection was stopped by the police. At least 15 people, mostly rioters, were killed, but in the aftermath, France's center left prime minister had been forced to resign in favor of a conservative. So, blah, blah, blah. So there's more backstory there. So I guess this Maguire guy seeing how them niggas over there did some snake shit to their government to manipulate, got the idea to approach him on behalf of his people. But anyway, so it goes
Mm-hmm.
on. Maguire had attended a meeting at the Croix de Feu in Paris, and it was the sort of super organization he believed Americans could get behind, especially with a beloved war hero like Butler at the helm. Then he made his proposal. The Marine would lead 500,000 veterans in a march on Washington, blending the Croix de Feu assault on the French legislature with the march on Rome that had put Mussolini's fascists in power in Italy a decade earlier. They would be financed and armed by some of the most powerful corporations in America, including DuPont, the nation's biggest manufacturer of explosives and synthetic materials. So just to run that back, this shit was financed by some of the most powerful corporations in America. All right, moving on. The purpose of the action was to stop President Roosevelt's New Deal, the president's program to end the Great Depression, which one of the millionaire DuPont brothers deemed nothing more or less than the socialistic doctrine called by another name. So I guess they was against, you know, the New Deal founded by President Roosevelt, which led to the creation of all these nations, highways and bridges and shit like that being built, yada yada. So anyway,
Yeah.
um, Maguire explained Butler's veteran army, Maguire explained, would pressure the president to appoint a new Secretary of State or Secretary of General Affairs who would take on the executive powers of government. If Roosevelt went along, he would be allowed to remain as a figurehead like the King of Italy. Otherwise, he would be forced to resign, placing the new super secretary in the White House. Butler recognized this immediately as a coup. He knew the people who were allegedly behind it. He made a life in the overlapping seams of capital and empire, and he knew that the subversion of democracy by force had turned out to be a required part of the job he had chosen. I spent most of my time being a high class muscle man for big business, for Wall Street, and for the bankers, Butler would write a year later. In short, I was a racketeer for capitalism. Now that's a gem right there. So you have a high ranking general, you know what I mean, who basically kept it 1,000. He said I was just a hired muscle for big business to get money. So all of these wars that you done, like all of these wars was about money. They wasn't about beliefs and oh these people need help and nah. Them niggas got what we need. We about to kill them. Take it. Or we about to go over there, run up in their spot, get them shook by putting our weight down to where they gonna start making monthly payments to us or sending monthly shipments to us. You know what I mean? But anyway, so it goes on further. Butler knew another thing that most Americans didn't know: how much they would suffer if anyone did to their democracy what he had done to so many others across the globe. Now let that sentence sink in. Americans would be fucked up over here if he allowed the shit to go down what he had done on behalf of America to these other countries. A lot of these countries beforehand were probably popping. They was probably prosperous and this, that, and the third. Once our shit, our goons, meaning America, ran up in there and bombed the hell out of this and that, like these niggas is doing to these other niggas currently. Now they're a third world country. You done fucked up the people infrastructure, this, that, and the third. Alright, so anyway, moving on. Now, about this super organization, McGuire asked the general, would you be interested in heading it? And then dude said, I am interested in it, but I do not know nothing. Wait, I am interested in it, but I do not know about heading it. So he kind of just nibbling, you know what I mean? Like I might fuck with y'all, but I need to basically know a little bit more about this shit. Even though he already kind of putting two together, playing dumb. So Butler told the bondsman or the bond salesman as he resolved to report everything he had learned to Congress, I am very greatly interested in it because, Jerry, my one hobby is maintaining a democracy. If you can get these 500,000 soldiers advocating anything smelling of fascism, I am going to get 500,000 more and lick the hell out of you, and we will have a real war right at home. So this is the guy who's still kind of selling Smedley Butler on this move. So going further, 8 decades after he publicly revealed his conversations about what became known as the business plot, Smedley Butler is no longer a household name. So blah 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 yada yada. Let me kind of fast forward down here. Do they actually name some more people or whatever? So in this shit, it looked like they ain't really going. They giving a tiny little fragments, but they ain't going like real deep on the motherfucker. But the long and short of this whole shit was, your boy played it real smooth, acting like he was still going along with it. So he was going to these Illuminati meetings and all that shit. And well, let me see. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, okay. All right. So I think this might be the part where he finally all right. Here we go. So back to the shit. On November 20th, 1934, readers of the New York Post were startled by a headline. General Butler accuses New York brokers of plotting dictatorship in United States. $3 million bid for fascist army Baird. Says he was asked to lead $500,000 for Capitol putsch. U.S. probing charge. So further, it says, Smedley Butler revealed the business plot before a 2-man panel of the Special House Committee on Un-American Activities. For 30 minutes, Butler told the story, starting with his first visit of bond salesman Gerald C. McGuire at his house in 1933. Finally, Butler told the congressman about his last meeting with McGuire at the Bellevue Stratford Hotel, in which he testified that McGuire told him to expect to see a powerful organization forming to back the putsch from behind the scenes. He says, "You will watch. In 2 or 3 weeks, you will see it come out in the paper. There will be big fellows in it. This is to be the background of it. These are to be the villagers in the opera." And then further down, let's see. Da, da, da. So among the Liberty League's principal founders was the multimillionaire Irene DuPont, former president of the explosive chemical, manufacturing giant. Other backers included General Motors' Alfred P. Sloan, as well as executives from Phillips Petroleum, Sun Oil, General Foods, and the McCann Erickson Ad Agency. Let's see. And then as well as two presidential candidates, Al Smith and John W. Davis. But you have a slew of these basically rich motherfuckers and business people that were conspiring to literally have this man bum rush the White House with an army. He went to Congress, put everything on blast, and there was really nobody that got arrested because these niggas was all too rich, what they say, too big to fail. And let me hit you with a last little snippet. Business plot. I know I gotta keep hitting that damn bold caps lock. Let's see. Prescott Bush. So boom, here it's talking about in July of 2007, a BBC investigation reported that Prescott Bush, father of George H.W. Bush and grandfather of George W. Bush, was to have been a key liaison between the 1933 business plotters and the newly emerged Nazi regime in Germany. Although this have been disputed by Jonathan Katz as a misconception caused by clerical research error, according to Katz, Prescott Bush was too involved with the actual Nazis to be involved with something that was so homegrown as the business plot. So that's one thing right there that they talking about. But yeah, there's a lot of shady business going on. Let's see what they talk about. Old Smedley. So anyway.
Wait, sorry, I got a call.
Oh no, it's all good. I'm about to conclude this video. So the conclusion, once again, is that dude blew the whistle on, all of those rich people involved. None of them niggas didn't even get arrested. The police, the feds didn't even come to see them niggas at all. And it was just swept under the rug. Like, them niggas was like, my bad, that's all. That was all the punishment it was. My bad, yeah, we tried to take over the government, but, leave us the fuck alone. And that was that.